It was an ordinary morning in a quiet American town, the kind of morning where nothing feels wrong. The sun rose slowly over Belen, New Mexico, casting long shadows across empty roads and desert land. The air was warm, the sky was clear, and Highway 47 stretched endlessly through silence. For most people, it was just another Tuesday. But for one young woman, it would be the last morning anyone ever saw her. Her name was Tara Calico. She was 20 years old, and she was about to disappear in broad daylight without a single trace. Tara woke up that morning like she always did. She was staying with her mother. She had plans later in the day. Nothing about the morning felt unusual. She ate breakfast. She got dressed. She grabbed her Sony Walkman, the kind with foam headphones and a cassette tape inside. Music helped her focus. Music helped her relax. Then she walked outside. Waiting for her was her bicycle, a pink Huffy bike she rode almost every day. Riding her bike was part of Tara's routine. Nearly every morning, she followed the same route along Highway 47. It was flat. It was quiet. And it was familiar. She had ridden that road dozens, maybe hundreds of times. But recently, something had changed. In the weeks leading up to this morning, Tara had started to feel uneasy. She told her mother that a truck had been following her. Not once, more than once. A pickup truck, brown or tan in color. It would slow down near her, then speed up, then disappear. At first, she brushed it off. But eventually, it bothered her enough to say something. She even asked her mother to come along on her rides, something she had never done before. That fear mattered, because on this morning, Tara said something that would later haunt her family forever. Before leaving the house, Tara made a promise. "If I'm not home by noon," she said, "call the police." It wasn't a joke. It wasn't casual. It was specific. And then, around 9:30 in the morning, Tara mounted her bike. She wore a white tank top, pink shorts, running shoes. She placed the headphones over her ears, and she pedaled away from home. Witnesses later reported seeing her riding southbound along Highway 47. She looked normal, calm, focused, alive. No one noticed anything unusual. No one saw her struggling. No one heard her scream. And that's what makes what happened next so terrifying. Because after that moment, Tara Calico simply vanished. By noon, she wasn't home. At first, her mother waited. Maybe Tara stopped to talk to someone. Maybe she rode farther than usual. Maybe she lost track of time. But minutes passed. Then an hour. The promise Tara had made echoed louder with every second. By early afternoon, panic had set in. Police were notified. And almost immediately, a search began. Officers drove along Highway 47. They scanned the desert on both sides of the road. They searched ditches, shoulders, and open land. They expected to find something, a bicycle, a shoe, an accident scene, but they found nothing. No bike, no Walkman, no cassette tape, no signs of a crash, no signs of a struggle. Decades have passed since that quiet morning on Highway 47, decades in which the desert has kept its secrets, decades in which the world has speculated, theorized, and hoped. And yet, Tara Calico remains missing. Her story has become more than a case. It has become a cautionary tale, a reminder that the ordinary can turn terrifying in an instant. That routine can be exploited. That vigilance sometimes isn't enough. For investigators, the case is a reminder of the limits of evidence, of the power of silence, of the frustrations that come with a trail that suddenly goes cold. For Tara's family, it is a lifelong ache. Every day, every holiday, every birthday, every anniversary carries the weight of what happened and what could have been. And yet, they continue to search, continue to question, continue to hope. Because hope is all that remains when answers are absent. Some theorists believe Tara was taken by someone local, someone who knew her routines. Others believe she was the victim of a random predator, opportunistic, cruel, and precise. Some think she may have been photographed and moved multiple times. Some think the Polaroid photographs are the key, proof she survived for longer than anyone realized. And yet, nothing has been confirmed. Every theory, every lid, every rumor has been chased, and none has provided closure. That is the haunting truth, the truth that will not let the story go. That makes people keep asking questions decades later. Because even without answers, the story of Tara Calico lingers. It lingers in the mind, in the imagination, in the fear of disappearing, even when the world seems safe. The quiet road she once rode on remains the same. The sun still beats down on the desert. The wind still sweeps the sand across the highway. But one young woman, full of life, confidence, and promise, is gone. And the questions remain. Who took her? Where is she? Is she still alive? Did anyone else see what happened? And will we ever truly know the answers? For some mysteries, there are no solutions. For some disappearances, the truth is swallowed by silence. For Tara Calico, the world is left to wonder, to theorize, to imagine what might have happened, and to remember a young woman who vanished without a trace. A young woman whose story continues to haunt, and a mystery that refuses to die. Tara Calico's disappearance is not just history. It is a warning, a story that will not be forgotten. A reminder that the ordinary can be deceptive, that life can change in an instant, and that sometimes the most chilling mysteries are the ones that leave no answers at all. Because even decades later, the world still asks the same question. Where is Tara Calico? And will anyone ever find out what really happened that September morning? Until then, the road remains empty, the desert remains silent, and the memory of Tara Calico remains alive in every retelling, waiting, watching, unsolved. It suggested something terrifying. Whoever took her was organized, efficient, and careful. Authorities began reconstructing the timeline minute by minute. Tara left around 9:30 a.m. She was last seen riding southbound shortly after. That meant everything happened within a very small window of time. A window so small that the person responsible had to know exactly when and where to act. This was no random crime. This was an opportunity taken by someone watching. The desert itself worked against the search. The open land erased tracks quickly. Wind covered disturbances. Heat destroyed scent. Hours mattered. And by the time the search began, the trail was already gone. As days passed, frustration grew among investigators. They were used to finding something. Anything. But here, there was nothing to follow. No suspect. No crime scene. Just a missing young woman and a long stretch of road. The case began to change tone. What had started as a missing person investigation became something darker, something more unsettling, because it became clear that Tara Calico hadn't wandered off. She hadn't been injured. She had been taken. And the person who took her had succeeded in vanishing with her. Rumors began spreading almost immediately. Some whispered about a local man. Others spoke about teenagers who drove recklessly along Highway 47. There were stories of harassment, of trucks slowing down near cyclists, of behavior that had been ignored before, but now felt sinister. Investigators followed every lead. Most went nowhere. Some ended abruptly, and some raised more questions than answers. The silence from witnesses was deafening. People who lived nearby claimed they saw nothing, heard nothing, knew nothing. But in a town that small, on a road that quiet, that explanation didn't sit right. Someone had to have seen something. Someone had to have noticed something unusual. Yet no one spoke. As the weeks passed, Tara's family held on to hope. Hope that she would be found alive. Hope that someone would come forward. Hope that the desert would give her back. But with each passing day, that hope grew thinner. The media attention faded. Searches slowed. Resources were pulled back. And the case began slipping into dangerous territory. The kind of territory where answers disappear. Where cases grow cold. But just when it seemed like Tara Calico's story might fade into obscurity, something unexpected happened. Something that would change the case forever. Something that would shock investigators, terrify the public, and raise more questions than it answered. A single photograph, found hundreds of miles away, a photograph that suggested Tara might still be alive, and that what happened to her on Highway 47 was far darker than anyone had imagined. Just when the case seemed to be fading into silence, something surfaced that changed everything. Nearly 9 months after Tara Calico disappeared, an ordinary day in another state took a terrifying turn. It was June of 1989, more than 1,000 miles away from New Mexico. In Port St. Joe, Florida, a woman was shopping at a convenience store when she noticed something lying on the ground in the parking lot. At first, it looked like trash, a photograph, a Polaroid. But when she picked it up, her stomach dropped. The image showed 2 people, a young woman and a young boy. Both were bound, their mouths covered with duct tape. They appeared to be inside a vehicle, possibly a van. The girl was lying on her side. No starting point. It was as if Tara had never been there at all. Investigators began to realize how narrow the window must have been. Whatever happened to Tara happened fast, and it happened quietly. There were no witnesses who saw her being forced into a vehicle, no reports of a struggle, no screams. And yet, a disappearance like this doesn't happen by accident. Someone had intercepted her, stopped her, and removed her from that road in a matter of moments. And whoever it was knew exactly what they were doing. As night fell, fear settled over Belen. Roads that once felt safe now felt threatening. Routine suddenly seemed dangerous. Parents held their children closer. Cyclists stopped riding alone. Because if Tara Calico could disappear like this, anyone could. The next morning, the search intensified. Authorities brought in more resources, more volunteers, more dogs. They searched abandoned buildings, wells, and remote areas. They checked every place someone could hide a body. Still nothing. No bike, no Walkman, no cassette tape, not even a trace of fabric. Investigators began to speak the words no family wants to hear. This was likely not an accident. This was likely an abduction. And the fact that Tara had mentioned a pickup truck suddenly became the most important lead. Every brown or tan truck in the area was questioned. Drivers were interviewed. Alibis were checked. But no one could be tied directly to Tara's disappearance. The road remained silent, and the desert offered no answers. As days turned into weeks, hope began to fade. But the mystery only deepened. Because someone out there knew exactly what happened on Highway 47 that morning. They knew how Tara was taken. They knew where she was brought. And they knew why no evidence was left behind. Yet they never came forward. And Tara Calico remained missing. Not lost, not injured, but gone. And the longer she stayed missing, the more one terrifying truth became clear. Whatever happened to Tara was planned, and whoever was responsible had gotten away with it. As the days passed, the search for Tara Calico grew larger and more desperate. What began as a local effort quickly turned into one of the most extensive searches the region had ever seen. Law enforcement expanded the perimeter mile by mile. Volunteers poured in from nearby towns. Helicopters hovered over the desert, scanning the ground below for anything. A flash of pink, a piece of metal, a shape that didn't belong. Searchers walked shoulder to shoulder through open land. They checked arroyos, dry riverbeds, and thick brush. They searched abandoned barns, empty trailers, and forgotten structures scattered across the desert. They lowered cameras into wells. They climbed down embankments. They followed every dirt road branching off Highway 47, and yet nothing. No bicycle, no footprints, no evidence that Tara had ever left the pavement. Investigators were disturbed by how completely Tara had vanished. In most abduction cases, something is left behind. A torn strap, a dropped shoe, a scuff mark. But in Tara's case, there was absolute silence. Highway 47 was quiet. Miles of open desert with few houses and long stretches without traffic. A perfect place for something terrible to happen. Tara knew that. because routine feels safe. This wasn't a random choice. This wasn't a spontaneous event. Whoever was involved knew her routine, knew the timing, and the question that still lingers is this: if she warned her family, that question will become the heart of the investigation, and it would lead detectives down a path filled with silence, rumors, and a mystery that refuses to die. She was someone who knew something was coming. The morning continued like any other. The sun climbed higher. Witnesses would later say they saw her moving southbound, pedaling steadily, headphones on, completely unaware that this would be the last time anyone would ever see her alive. Maybe she was delayed. By early afternoon, the call was made. Police began retracing Tara's route almost immediately. Officers drove along Highway 47, slowly scanning both sides of the road. Anything that could explain where Tara had gone. No signs of an accident. They searched nearby fields. This wasn't normal. In most cases, something is left behind. A bike. A mark in the dirt. By evening, volunteers joined the search. Neighbors, friends, strangers. They combed the desert on foot, under fading light. Helicopters flew overhead, scanning from above. Dogs were brought in, trained to track human scent, but even the dogs struggled. There was nothing to follow. No trail. No direction. The boy sat beside her, eyes wide, terrified. The image was grainy, poor quality, but haunting. The woman immediately turned the photo over to police. Investigators were alarmed because the young woman in the photograph looked strikingly familiar. When the photo was circulated, Tara Calico's mother saw it, and she broke down. She was convinced the girl in the photograph was her daughter. Same face, same hair, same build. And most disturbing of all, the girl in the photo appeared to have a distinctive scar on her leg. A scar Tara Calico had. News of the photograph spread quickly. The public was horrified. For the first time, there was a possibility that Tara had survived her disappearance. But that possibility came with a far darker implication. If the photo was real, if it was Tara, then she had been abducted, held captive, and photographed. Authorities sent the image to experts around the world. Scotland Yard analyzed the photograph and concluded that the resemblance between Tara and the girl was extremely strong. They believed it was likely her, but the FBI disagreed. They stated the photo quality was too poor for a definitive identification. And just like that, the case split in two directions: hope and doubt. The photograph raised chilling questions. Who took the picture? Why was it taken? Was it meant as a trophy, a warning, or something else entirely? And why was it found in a random parking lot in Florida? Investigators traced the type of film used. They examined the vehicle interior visible in the photo. They studied every shadow, every angle, every detail. But the image refused to give up its secrets. The boy in the photograph was never identified. No missing children cases could be conclusively linked to him, which raised an even more disturbing possibility that there were other victims, other families still waiting. As the years passed, more Polaroid photographs surfaced, each one disturbing, each one possibly connected. One showed a woman bound in a van. Another showed a young girl with tape over her mouth. But none could be definitively linked to Tara. Still, the damage was done. The idea that Tara might have been alive long after her disappearance changed everything. The case was no longer just about what happened on Highway 47. It was about what may have happened afterward, where Tara could have been taken, and how long she might have suffered. For Tara's family, the photograph was both hope and torture. Hope that she was alive, and the unbearable pain of imagining what she might have endured. Years passed. The photo remained one of the most controversial pieces of evidence in true crime history. Some investigators believed it was Tara. Others believed it was a cruel coincidence. But no one could prove either side, and the truth remained just out of reach. What had started as a quiet disappearance on a desert road had now become something far more disturbing. A case involving captivity, silence, and a photograph that refused to let the world forget. And as investigators dug deeper, another unsettling realization emerged. If the photo was real, then someone somewhere had kept Tara Calico hidden and had gotten away with it. As the shock of the photograph settled in, investigators were forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. If Tara Calico had been abducted, then someone from her world may have known more than they admitted. Attention turned back to Belen, to Highway 47, to the people who live nearby. In a town that small, secrets don't stay hidden easily. And yet, in Tara's case, silence surrounded everything. Investigators began revisiting earlier reports. Stories that once seemed insignificant now carried weight. Reports of trucks driving too close to cyclists. Accounts of young men speeding down the highway. Rumors of harassment that had never been formally reported. One story surfaced again and again. Several locals claimed that a group of teenage boys had been seen driving along Highway 47 around the time Tara disappeared. They were said to have followed her, teased her, harassed her. According to rumors, what started as a joke may have turned into something far more serious. Some believe Tara was struck accidentally. That panic followed. And that the truth was covered up. Names circulated quietly, but no one spoke on record. No one gave a statement strong enough to move the case forward. Investigators questioned individuals linked to the rumors. Some cooperated. Others refused. Alibis were provided, but none could be conclusively disproven. And without physical evidence, the case stalled once again. One former sheriff would later state privately that he believed Tara had been killed accidentally, that those responsible had helped covering it up, that people knew but couldn't talk. Officially, however, no such conclusion was ever reached. There were no arrests, no charges, no confirmation of foul play, just suspicion hanging in the air. For Tara's family, the rumors were unbearable. They wanted answers, truth, closure. Instead, they were met with silence. The possibility that the truth was known but never spoken was harder to accept than any theory involving strangers, because it meant Tara's disappearance wasn't just a mystery. It was a secret. As years passed, leads dried up, witness memories faded, people moved away. Some passed on. And with each passing year, the chances of solving the case grew smaller. But the questions never went away. Why had Tara sensed danger before she disappeared? Why had that specific truck been mentioned? Why had no one come forward, even anonymously? And why did the story feel unfinished? Investigators revisited the Polaroid again. Some argued it was unrelated. Others believed it was the key. But without confirmation, it remained a haunting possibility rather than proof. The case hovered in limbo. Not closed, not solved, not forgotten, just suspended and uncertain. And beneath it all was a single terrifying realization. If Tara Calico's disappearance involved people from her own community, then the truth wasn't lost, it was buried. And someone somewhere had lived with it for decades. As time passed, the Tara Calico case became something more than an investigation. It became a puzzle filled with contradictions. Every theory seemed possible. And yet, none of them fully explained what happened. Investigators were forced to confront a disturbing reality. No matter which path they followed, they hit the same wall: silence. One theory suggested Tara was abducted by a stranger, someone passing through town, a crime of opportunity. But Highway 47 wasn't a busy highway. Traffic was sparse. The chances of a random predator appearing at the exact right time were slim. Another theory pointed towards someone familiar with the area. Someone who knew Tara's routine. Someone who knew when she rode. Someone who knew how to act quickly without being seen. That explanation felt far more believable. But belief is not evidence, and evidence was exactly what the case lacked. Then there was the Polaroid photograph. For years, it remained the most unsettling piece of the puzzle. Some investigators believed it was a cruel hoax. Others believed it was real. But if it was real, it raised questions no one wanted to answer. Why would someone photograph their victims? Why abandon the photo in a parking lot? Was it meant to be found? Or was it a mistake? And why did no one ever come forward to identify the boy in the photo? If he was a victim too, where was his family? Or was he someone investigators had never thought to look for? Each unanswered question created another layer of unease. The longer the case remained unsolved, the more theories emerged. Some suggested Tara had been trafficked. Others believed she was killed shortly after being taken. Some believed she survived longer than anyone realized. But without proof, all theories remained speculation. And speculation, while haunting, brought no closure. What made Tara's case especially unsettling was how ordinary it began. No warning signs, no violent history, no known enemies, just a bike ride. And then, nothing. Over the years, investigators revisited the case multiple times. Cold case units reviewed old files. New detectives looked at old leads with fresh eyes. Technology improved. Databases expanded. Still, no breakthroughs came. And the case began to take on a life of its own. Tara Calico became a symbol. A reminder that someone could disappear in daylight. That routine does not equal safety. That evil does not always announce itself. For Tara's family, the years were marked by uncertainty. Every phone call brought hope. Every rumor reopened wounds. Every anniversary was a reminder of what was lost. And yet, they refused to give up. Because as long as there were unanswered questions, there was still a chance. But with every passing year, one terrifying thought grew louder. What if the truth had already been missed? What if the answers were buried in the early days, overlooked, ignored, or silenced? And what if the person responsible had never faced consequences? That possibility haunted the case. Because it meant Tara Calico's disappearance wasn't just unsolved. It was unresolved. And some mysteries are far more dangerous when they remain that way. Years went by, and Tara Calico's disappearance became one of the most haunting cold cases in American history. The road she vanished from remained quiet, empty, unforgiving. For investigators, the silence was deafening. For the family, it was unbearable. For the town, it was a lingering shadow that never left. Over time, the investigation revealed disturbing truths about small towns, secrets, and silence. In Belen, people whispered. Rumors swirled. Some said they knew what happened. Some claimed they saw someone suspicious that day. But almost no one spoke publicly. And in the absence of testimony, the case remained shrouded in uncertainty. Detectives realized that sometimes the most dangerous element of a crime isn't the act itself. It's what happens afterward. The silences, the secrets, the things people choose not to see. Some officers privately admitted they suspected the truth was closer than anyone wanted to believe. Perhaps someone from Tara's town knew more than they admitted. Perhaps someone had covered up details, intentionally or out of fear. But without evidence, speculation was all they had. And that speculation was terrifying. The idea that someone, somewhere, had taken Tara and lived with it for decades haunted everyone involved. The Polaroid photograph remained a focal point of discussion. If it was Tara, then she had survived longer than anyone realized. She had been photographed, possibly more than once, and the mystery deepened. Investigators also revisited other possibilities. Had Tara been abducted by someone passing through the area? Had she been the victim of a planned crime? Or was it something even darker? Every theory carried its own horrors. And yet, all of them led to the same reality. Tara Calico had disappeared, and the world had no answers. Psychologists and criminal profilers studied the case for decades. They considered her personality, her habits, her environment, the behavior of those who may have crossed her path. Some believed Tara had been taken by someone who had observed her routines carefully. Others believed she may have been caught in a random act of violence. But no single theory ever fully explained what had happened. The road itself became symbolic, a place of vanished youth, of unanswered questions, and a fear that lingered long after the event. Even today, the desert along Highway 47 seems different, quieter, more watchful, as if it remembers. Tara's case reminds us that danger can hide behind familiarity, that someone can vanish while everyone else assumes everything is ordinary, and that the people who know the least are often the ones left with the greatest burden of uncertainty. For Tara's family, the years of searching never ended. They spoke at conferences, participated in documentaries, and renewed efforts to generate leads. They refused to let her story fade, because even decades later, hope is all they had. And the mystery continued to grip the imagination of the public. It became more than a missing person case. It became a story of suspense, fear, and the enduring question: who took Tara Calico? Where is she now? And why has the truth remained hidden for so long? Every anniversary, every revisit of the case, every cold lead serves as a reminder that someone vanished, and that someone still deserves answers. Because even after decades, the desert doesn't forget. The road doesn't forget. And Tara Calico is still waiting to be found. As the years passed, Tara Calico's story continued to ripple through communities far beyond Belen. True crime enthusiasts, journalists, and amateur sleuths pored over every detail, every rumor, every shred of evidence. Some argue that the Polaroid photograph was proof Tara had survived her disappearance for weeks or months. Others insisted it was nothing more than coincidence or a cruel hoax. But for those who loved her, the photograph was more than an image. It was hope. Hope that she was still alive. Hope that someone somewhere could bring her home. Investigators revisited her friends, neighbors, and even strangers who had been in the area that day. Questions that should have been answered decades ago were still being asked. Who saw the truck? Who followed her that morning? Who knew her routines? And most importantly, who could have taken her so efficiently, so quietly, that no evidence remained? Some theories turned dark quickly. Some believed she was a victim of a carefully planned abduction. Others thought she may have been caught by someone she trusted, perhaps someone who had been watching for weeks. Someone patient, methodical, and chillingly precise. The thought alone makes the stomach tighten, because it means the person responsible wasn't reckless. They weren't random. They were calculated. And the Polaroid photograph suggested they wanted to be seen, or at least wanted someone to find out later. It was a message, but a message that left more questions than answers. The boy in the photograph was never identified. His presence implied this was not an isolated act. It suggested a darkness that extended beyond Tara Calico alone. Some experts speculated that the person responsible may have had other victims or intended to. And if that was the case, it only added to the urgency of the investigation. But time was not a friend. Memories faded, leads grew cold. And the trail, if there ever was one, disappeared. Yet every new generation that heard the story felt the same chill, the simplicity of her routine, the suddenness of her disappearance, the eerie silence of the road, and the haunting image of that photograph. It became a case study in fear, patience, and the unknown. Even forensic experts weighed in. Some theorized Tara had been abducted at the edge of the road in a vehicle the size of a van. Others speculated she may have been forced into the desert and hidden quickly before anyone could intervene. But again, no physical evidence ever confirmed either scenario. Years of searches, tips, and interviews had produced nothing concrete. Every abandoned building, every culvert, every ditch had been checked. Yet the desert seemed to swallow every clue. And that's what makes this case so unnerving. Someone vanished, completely. And despite decades of investigation, despite a Polaroid photograph, despite rumors and whispers, nothing ever surfaced to confirm her fate. It is the kind of mystery that keeps investigators awake at night. The kind of disappearance that fascinates the public because it defies expectation. No crime scene, no struggle, no witness testimony that led anywhere. Just a girl on a bike, a quiet road, and then nothing. For Tara's family, every day that passed without an answer was another day of heartbreak. They tried to piece together the moments before she vanished. The small details, the routine checks, the conversations. Every memory became critical. Because sometimes the smallest detail can break open the largest mystery. But even with everything examined, everything replayed, and every theory considered, the truth remained elusive. Tara Calico's disappearance was no longer just a missing person case. It had become a symbol of fear, of uncertainty, and of a world where someone could disappear in daylight, in broad view, and never be found. As night falls over Belen, as the desert wind sweeps across Highway 47, the question remains, who took Tara Calico? Where did she go? And why has the truth been hidden for so long? Every year, every anniversary, every new investigation reminds the world of a single haunting truth. Some mysteries refuse to be solved. Some disappearances linger in the shadows forever. And Tara Calico remains gone. Decades have passed since that quiet morning on Highway 47. Decades in which the desert has kept its secrets. Decades in which the world has speculated, theorized, and hoped. And yet, Tara Calico remains missing. Her story has become more than a case. It has become a cautionary tale. A reminder that the ordinary can turn terrifying in an instant. That routine can be exploited. That vigilance sometimes isn't enough. For investigators, the case is a reminder of the limits of evidence, of the power of silence, of the frustrations that come with a trail that suddenly goes cold. For Tara's family, it is a lifelong ache. Every day, every holiday, every birthday, every anniversary carries the weight of what happened and what could have been. And yet, they continue to search, continue to question, continue to hope. Because hope is all that remains when answers are absent. Some theorists believe Tara was taken by someone local, someone who knew her routines. Others believe she was the victim of a random predator, opportunistic, cruel, and precise. Some think she may have been photographed and moved multiple times. Some think the Polaroid photographs are the key, proof she survived for longer than anyone realized. And yet, nothing has been confirmed. Every theory, every lid, every rumor has been chased, and none has provided closure. That is the haunting truth, the truth that will not let the story go. That makes people keep asking questions decades later. Because even without answers, the story of Tara Calico lingers. It lingers in the mind, in the imagination, in the fear of disappearing, even when the world seems safe. The quiet road she once rode on remains the same. The sun still beats down on the desert. The wind still sweeps the sand across the highway. But one young woman, full of life, confidence, and promise, is gone. And the questions remain. Who took her? Where is she? Is she still alive? Did anyone else see what happened? And will we ever truly know the answers? For some mysteries, there are no solutions. For some disappearances, the truth is swallowed by silence. For Tara Calico, the world is left to wonder, to theorize, to imagine what might have happened, and to remember a young woman who vanished without a trace, a young woman whose story continues to haunt, and a mystery that refuses to die. Tara Calico's disappearance is not just history. It is a warning, a story that will not be forgotten, a reminder that the ordinary can be deceptive, that life can change in an instant, and that sometimes the most chilling mysteries are the ones that leave no answers at all. Because even decades later, the world still asks the same question. Where is Tara Calico? And will anyone ever find out what really happened that September morning? Until then, the road remains empty, the desert remains silent, and the memory of Tara Calico remains alive in every retelling, waiting, watching, unsolved.